Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about actuators concept. Can anybody tell me quickly what is actuator and why we need to go for actuator, guys? Can anyone tell me quickly what is actuator and why should we go for actuator concept?
Actuators are used to monitor the application, check the health condition of the application.
Actuators are used to monitor and manage our application. So we have health endpoint here. Actuator is providing health endpoint and it is providing metrics also. It is providing base, okay, and it is providing loggers. It is providing ENV. It is providing mappings and it is providing shutdown also. What is the purpose of shutdown endpoint in the actuator, guys? What is the purpose of shutdown endpoint in the actuator? Any idea? What is the purpose of shutdown endpoint in the actuator? Come on, guys.
We
What
can
is the
shut down
purpose of
application
shutdown
login.
endpoint in the actuator?
To stop our application.
It is used to stop our application. It is used to stop our application. So by using shutdown endpoint, we can stop the application, but by default, shutdown endpoint is not enabled. So we need to enable the shutdown endpoint manually. And all the endpoints are mapped to get request, guys. Only this shutdown endpoint is mapped to post request. All the endpoints are mapped to get request. Only shutdown endpoint is mapped to post request here. So I hope you guys practiced. I hope you guys practiced what is actuator and how we need to work with the actuator. Are you guys able to understand what is the purpose of actuator and why we need to go for actuator concept? Come on, guys. Anybody having any questions on the actuator concept? Come on. Can anyone tell me quickly about what you understood about actuator in 2 minutes? If anybody asks you in the interview, what is actuator, then what is your answer? If anybody asks you what is actuator in the interview, then tell me what is your answer for that?
It is used to monitor and manage our application.
It is used to monitor and manage. Yes. So if you give single line answer, that is not sufficient, right?
And by default, the health endpoint is enabled. If we wanted to enable other endpoint, then we have to use some property in YAML file, management.exposure.include.
That's it. With that answer, will they satisfy?
Yeah, like by using this actuator endpoint, we can check like how many BNet have created and what URL mapping we are using and what is the health of our application, and based on that information, like we can improve our code and which will help us.
Okay. So if anybody asks you what is actuator, actuator is one of the most important feature available in the Spring Boot that will help us to monitor and manage our Spring Boot application. It will provide production ready features for our application. By using this actuator, we can monitor the endpoints like health, beans, loggers, environment, metrics, thread dump, heap dump, etc. And there is a special actuator endpoint called shutdown. By using that, we can stop our application also, right? So by default, health endpoint will be exposed. If you want to expose the other endpoints, then we need to configure a property in the application.properties file. By default, shutdown is disabled. If you want to shut down your application by using endpoint, you need to enable that shutdown. And all the actuator endpoints are mapped to get request. Only the shutdown endpoint is mapped to post request in the Spring Boot. So you need to talk about that for at least 2 minutes of time, guys. So when the interview person asked you any question, you should not give any single line answer. You need to talk about that for at least 1 to 2 minutes of time. You need to talk about that for at least 1 to 2 minutes of time. Then only that person will get satisfied with your answer. Then only that person will get satisfied with your answer. You got my point? Yeah. Can anyone else want to explain about actuator? Can anyone want to explain about actuator again? Come on, guys. Anyone else want to talk about actuator?
Yes, sir, I can go ahead again.
Yeah, please.
So
Feel
actuator,
that
it
this
is,
is your interview. Feel that this is your interview and give the answer for that.
yeah, sure. So actuator basically like it is one kind of the form starter dependency when we add that into our Spring Boot application, and it will help us to monitor and manage our application. So by default, by default only one endpoint is enabled, which is health endpoint. And if we wanted to enable the other endpoint, then we have to use one property in YAML file like management dot yeah, exposure dot include. And by default, all endpoints support the get HTTP method, but only the shutdown endpoint which support the post HTTP method. Yeah.
Okay, fine, good, sir. So today, guys, instead of teaching a new topic, can I take a mock interview on the Spring Boot? Actually, I want to talk about the profiles topic that we can discuss later point of time also. So anybody interested to give mock interview on the Spring Boot on the topics that we have completed so far? Anybody want to give the mock interview on the Spring Boot on the topics we completed so far? Just I want to see how you guys are learning and what is your confidence level with respect to the Spring Boot. Is anybody interested to give that mock interview today? Come on, guys. Anybody interested to give the mock interview today? Aftab Alam, can you give your mock interview today, Aftab, on the Spring Boot topics we completed so far?
Good morning, sir. Actually, sir, I want to revise.
हाँ कोई दिक्कत नहीं है भाई एक बार ट्राई करो and guys one more thing tomorrow there is a free workshop on this topic which is event driven architecture in the microservices, very important topic. I have given the link in the chat box, so please register with that link. Then you will get the Zoom link to your email ID, and once you log in with your mail you can see in the dashboard. Okay, I have given one link in the chat box for a free workshop, so open that link and register. When you register once you register, then you can log in your login. It will show you the Zoom link to join for that class. That is a free workshop tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So I want you people to attend that workshop, which is related to event driven microservices architecture, guys. Very important. Yeah, today Nathan want to give the mock interview, so let us see. Hi Nathan, can you unmute your mic?
Hi sir, am I audible?
Yes Nathan, you are audible. Can you switch on your camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Guys, all of you able to see me and Nathan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Hi Nathan, good morning.
Hi sir, good morning.
Yeah, today is your mock interview, Nathan. So you are ready for that, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. So first, quickly, can you introduce about yourself, Nathan?
My name is Nathan Victor. So I work for a MNC company named LDM Mindway. For the past 3 years, I'm working for that. I work as a tester
Mhm.
for the same company. We use Playwright and Selenium for testing for a Microsoft client.
Okay.
So yeah, so I do automation. I do test automation in that company. But as I'm interested towards development, like I'm looking for good roles in the development domain.
Okay, you want to transition your career from test automation to the software development
Yes,
process.
yes.
Yes, very good, Nathan. So total, how many years of experience you are having?
2.8 years.
2.8 years experience. It is totally in the. So what is your relevant experience in software test automation?
So to be honest, even in this company, I didn't completely do test automation. So what I did was, our client is Microsoft. So they have this SQL server, right?
Okay.
So the server testing we did. What
Okay.
initially I did server testing. So what I used to do is so there used to be a lot of test suits, right? I used to fix those, right? It's kind of a maintenance project.
Okay, got
So
it.
basically, outside in the market, test automation means they mostly do this front end automation.
Correct.
So now, recently, 2 months, I moved to front end test automation, including Power
Okay.
Apps.
Okay, got it. Fine. So coming to our interview. So today your interview is on the Spring Boot, right?
Yes.
So first, can you tell me what is the Spring framework and why it is having this much demand in the market?
So actually, by you in Java, we can develop applications, production grade applications, or distributed applications using servlets concept.
Mhm.
But using servlets, uh, you know the in order to develop application using servlets, it will take a lot of time. So
Mhm.
in order to ease the development process, and at the same time to improve the coding standards, Spring
Mhm.
framework is very much used, either in order to prevent writing boilerplate code, or at the
Mhm.
same time using the standard features that are available to the developer.
Okay.
So Spring mainly gives us some features like production ready features like auto wiring, dependency injection, and ready-made ready-made features that we can use, uh, so that the developer need not concentrate more about managing the technology. Instead, he can morely focus on the business logic that he's supposed to do.
Okay. My next question. What is the difference between Spring Framework and Spring Boot?
Yeah. So Spring framework, we need to even though Spring framework will ease the development process, still we need to manage something like, for example, if you take Spring MVC, we need to configure the view resolver. We need to configure all those small components, and it's extra burden on the developer. But when coming to the Spring Boot will have production ready features and auto configuration. So when we use the auto configuration, right, most of the things will get auto configured. So we'll have to manage or configure very less things. That's so they are. Uh,
Can you give me one or two examples on the auto configuration in the Spring Boot?
yes, sir. So like if you see, if you take Spring Data JPA in Spring, we'll have to configure the driver. We'll have to configure the driver, and all those pages we'll have to configure. But when coming to the Spring Boot, we need not configure the driver is automatically auto configured and auto detected by the Spring Boot.
Mhm.
And when coming to the Spring MVC, there are like multiple things. Like for a Spring MVC or a controller to run, we'll have to configure view resolver. We'll have to configure controller mapping and everything in a Spring framework. And while coming to the Spring Boot, we can everything is auto configured in here.
Okay. So can you tell me what is a dependency injection?
So dependency injection is a concept where the the life cycle of the object or a life cycle of a Bojo object is taken care by the Spring application. So we need not create the application. For a developer, it will be a overhead task to to create objects at the same time again deleting the object. It will also have a negative impact on the JVM because a lot of objects will be created now. So what dependency injection does is it will auto create, like it will like whenever we give some configuration to the Spring or Spring Boot application, it will auto create all these objects for us. So the dependency is not on the developer. The dependency is on the Spring Boot application to create those objects and give it to us.
So how many ways
So
we
there
can
are
do that?
there are three ways
Tell me, how
we
many
can.
ways?
Yeah, there are three ways to give dependency injection. One is using annotations, one is using XML files, another one is using Java based classes.
Mhm.
So in XML files, there is a standard XML.
No. I'm asking about how many ways we can perform the dependency injection.
Dependency injection we can perform in three ways. One is field injection, second one is controller based injection, and getter setter method based injection.
Which one is recommended and why?
So always the always the constructor based injection is very important. I mean, very much recommended because so in the one, like, because like, so during the creation of the object itself, all the dependencies will get auto-wired. Whereas in the setter based, whereas in a field method injection, after object creation, it will create that dependency object, and at the same time, it will use proxy classes to it. So it kind of overhead abstraction for the application, and there will be a slight performance issue, I guess.
Okay, so can you explain about bean lifecycle?
Yeah, so bean lifecycle. I'm not. I can't really recall, but I'll just tell. So created state, then.
Okay, leave it. So can you explain about bean scopes in the Spring Boot?
Yes, sir. So bean scopes are basically like how the object basically telling the Spring Boot application how the object should be created during the dependency injection. So there are multiple scopes available: singleton scope, prototype scope, session scope, request scope, and WebSocket scope. So mainly we'll be using singular and prototype scope. So singular scope is like whenever the bean is created. Singleton scope. Singleton scope is whenever the bean is created, only one object will be created for the entire application. Whereas prototype scope, each object is created when we call the context. Like when we ask get bean method from the application context. So and this is eager loading. Singleton scope is eager loading because the object will be created even before we tend to use it, or we tend to call getBean method. Whereas prototype, whenever we call the getBean method, each time a new object will be created and returned in the application.
Okay. Very good. And next one. What is the difference between the singleton and prototype, and when to use a singleton and when to use prototype?
So difference singleton is every time a single object is returned to the application every time we call it. Prototype scope means every time we call the getBean method, or every time a dependency injection needs to be done or auto-wire needs to be done, the same object will be returned by the Spring Boot application or JVM.
Okay.
So singleton scope is used when we can use a single object for when we can use a single object multi-purposely. Like we need not need a new like we don't. Like there is no dependency like object can be static for every wherever we're using that object, if it's not changing in the attributes, or if it's not changing in the state, then maybe it's
Yeah. So can you tell me about runners in the Spring Boot?
Yes, sir. So runners in the Spring Boot are used to uh,
What is a runner in the Spring Boot and why we need the runners?
so if we are runners are basically they uh, they have some methods. They have the run method which will run when we start our Spring Boot application.
Okay. So guys, I want one more person to join for this interview. Who is interested? So I want to take for the two people parallelly. Nitin is there, Nathan is there, and I want one more person. Who is interested?
So I can go on, but
I am
even
interested.
Venkat Srinivasulu. Yeah. Can you switch on your camera, Venkat?
yeah, I can go on, sir. But I am an experienced person, like 14 years experience. I want to utilize our
No
candidates to
problem. No problem. So we can share yours. You can switch on your camera.
yeah, okay.
Yes, good,
Okay, sir.
good, Venkat. Yeah. So we have Nathan and we have Venkat both. So let's have a discussion, guys. This is very, very important and very useful. So, guys, the remaining people, please understand and observe what questions we are asking and what they are answering, so that it will be helpful for your revision also, guys. And okay, next, my next question to the Nathan. Nathan, what is component scanning in the Spring Boot?
Yes, sir. Component scanning is a annotation that is used in Spring Boot. So to tell Spring Boot applications what class paths to be scanned for in order to search for the bean Spring Boot beans.
Okay. What is the meaning of a base package and sub package in the Spring Boot?
Base package and sub package. So the package all the like if there is a package like com.ashok.ashok.it,
Yeah.
it's a base package, and whatever the package that go inside this ashok.it package, they are all known as sub packages.
Okay, good.
So,
So good. Next question, Mr. Venkat. Can you tell me about the start class in the Spring Boot?
Yeah, it is Spring Boot application is start class, sir. It will have a run method.
Okay.
So I mean, we can name anything like anything we can name it, but whatever the class that is having at the rate Spring Boot application is have a start class in Spring Boot application, sir.
So what is the role of the start class and what will happen internally when we run the boot application?
Yeah. So when you run a Spring Boot application, it will check the run method. Like it will go and check like what auto configuration has to run and what runners. I mean, what runners it has to run and what banners it has to print. So lots of auto configuration will go on internally in the run methods.
Okay. Yo, Nathan, what are the annotations that you have used in the Spring Boot?
yes. So I have used at the rate bean annotation. I have used at the rate auto-word annotation. At the rate component scan annotation.
Okay.
Then at the rate service annotation, at the rate entity annotation, at the rate repository annotation, at the rate controller annotation, at the rate rest controller annotation, and then at the rate. Coming to the Spring MVC, I have used at the rate model attribute, at the rate method, at the rate request param attribute, at the rate path variable attribute. At the rate path variable annotation. Then.
Okay, can you tell me the difference between at the rate component and at the rate bean annotation, Nathan?
So at the rate component annotation is generally used where you'll be actually it's a class level annotation. So wherever you declare at the rate component annotation, that class will be all the object creation of that class will be managed by the Spring application. Whereas at the bean annotation, we'll have to use it in Spring Boot at the rate enable like at the rate Spring Boot application. I mean at the rate configuration in the class at the rate configuration annotation, because all these bean objects will be created by you and returned. You'll be creating a configuration class in which you'll be creating the beans and return it's like partial you'll be implementing how to return those objects, and partial it will be returned by the Spring Boot application. So you'll be returning a bean from that method. So whenever you're putting bean annotation on a method.
Okay. So Venkat, can you tell me what is auto wiring and what are the modes available in the auto wiring?
Yeah, auto wiring is all about if you want to auto wire the dependencies in a component, then we go for auto wire annotation. So we can auto wire beans in two ways, one by type and by name. So let us say if there is a component which is having two implementations, like more than one implementation, in that case, either we can go for by name or by type, or we can even use qualifiers.
Okay. So what is the purpose of qualifier?
The best example is whenever there is multiple implementations for an interface, let us say in my application, I'm having two data sources. One is MySQL, one is Oracle. So in any service, if I want to use or MySQL or data source, if you use like only data source interface, then it will give some ambiguity. At that time, either we can go for primary or we can go for qualifier annotations.
Okay, good, fine. Nathan, can you tell me about Spring Data JPA? Why we need to use Spring Data JPA and what are the benefits of going with the Spring Data JPA?
Yes. So Spring Data JPA will be very useful for the developer. We can overpass all the boilerplate code that we'll be writing in JDBC or especially or any ORM framework like Hibernate. So Spring Data JPA will add a abstraction over these frameworks, and it will be like we need not create any like most of the methods, like all the CRUD methods or the basic methods that are very needed for any application will be automatically by default available in the Spring Data JPA. Like suppose a save or find methods, or save is the upsert method and the find method and delete method. All these basic functionalities are by default automatically available in the Spring Data JPA module.
Okay. So Venkat, can you tell me what are the methods available in the CRUD repository?
So basically, there are predefined methods available, sir, like find by, like find all, delete by ID, like query by. So these kind of syntaxes I have used, and we can even go for our custom query using query annotations. That in that case, we can give our own query. Like if you want to query data from multiple tables, we can go for query. Or if you want to go for only data from single table, then we can go for predefined methods of repository methods.
Okay. So can you tell me some annotations that you used from Data JPA, Venkat?
Data JPA, specifically Data JPA means entity I have used, and table I have used, like column, basic, and coming to associations one to many I have used, and I think pretty much these things I have used, sir.
Okay. So guys, one more person want to join for the interview?
Thank you very much, sir. It's very good opportunity. I really enjoyed it, sir.
Sir, I want to join, sir.
Sure, Santosh want to join. Hi, Santosh. So you can switch on your camera. Yeah. So meanwhile, Nathan, can you tell me about find by methods?
Yes, sir. So find by methods are like whatever the entity attributes we have, we can like combine those methods with the find by prefix, and the method will be generated by the Spring Data JPA during the runtime or the Hibernate framework. So the developer need not write the implementation for all these methods. If you just follow some standard convention specified by the Data JPA, you can query all the you can get you can query all the data that you want by using find by and a specific attribute which you need for that specific business requirement.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. Good. Santosh, can you tell me how to execute custom queries in the Data JPA? Sure, Santosh, can you explain how to execute custom queries in the Data JPA? Unmute your mic and talk. Shiva Santosh, can you unmute your mic and explain how to work with custom queries in the Data JPA? He is not responding. Hello. Save Santosh. I think we lost him. One more person want to join for this.
Sir, am I audible?
Sahil, you want to
Yes.
join, Sahil? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can switch on your camera. And I want one more guy also, Sahil, and one more person who is interested. Anyone from ladies? Ashwini, do you want to join? Imtiaz Khan, anyone else who is interested? Okay, I think Sahil, can you explain how to work with the custom queries in the data JPA?
So custom queries, we have this @query annotation, and you can use two different ways. One is using SQL queries, where you the class name becomes the table name, like from employee. So that you select star from employee. Insert you cannot do using SQL queries, and you can also use SQL queries as native query equals to true. If you add that to the @query annotation, then you add SQL query, it will understand that it is an SQL query, and using that you can do custom queries. And you need to define a method in interface.
Okay, good. Nathan, can you tell me the difference between HQL queries and SQL queries?
So HQL queries are like they are operated on entities. So HQL queries it needs to be converted to a SQL or whatever the source language we are using. They need to be converted into that language. So HQL is Hibernate query language, which is Hibernate query standard specification. Whereas SQL query is native SQL language. So it need not be converted to SQL query. It can directly run against the SQL server.
Okay, good. Sahil, can you tell me about generators in the data JPA?
Can you repeat the question?
Generators in the data JPA.
Generators.
What is a generator in the data JPA?
I don't know, Ashok.
You don't know
I
about
haven't
that.
come to that class, maybe.
Okay, so can you tell me about what is auto DDL in the data JPA?
Yeah, DDL auto is you are automatically defining the data definition language DDL. So if you put that as update, it will automatically create a table inside the database. You have to create a database in MySQL, but the tables and all it will automatically create update. And if you put create, it will automatically create
Automatically it will create the tables.
tables. Yes.
So can you tell me more about JPA repository?
Yeah, JPA repository is basically just CRUD repository, but we are also adding the features like pagination and sorting, and as well as this query by example. So there's this example class which is already defined in the Spring, and you are using that to be able to access the features.
Okay, can you explain about WebMVC architecture?
WebMVC.
Spring
Yes,
WebMVC architecture.
Is it the dispatcher servlet and then
Spring
controller?
MVC architecture, correct.
Okay. Yeah, so there is this servlet called dispatcher servlet, which is running in the background. We do not actually define it. We write a controller class, and this dispatcher servlet will then I do not remember it, Ashok.
Yeah, Nathan, can you explain about MVC architecture?
Yes, sir. So all the requests that we send are intercepted by the dispatcher servlet. So dispatcher servlet, like it will find the pattern of the URL and it will send to the controller mapping. Then. So controller mapping will return what controller needs to be what are the controller method needs to be executed, and it will return back to dispatcher servlet. Again, dispatcher servlet will go to that controller and it will find that mapping, and then the controller will return the model or model and view object back to the servlet. And based on the model and model or view object, using the view resolver, it will find the view path. and it will return the UI to the client.
Okay, good. So can you tell me what is the difference between controller and REST controller?
Yes, sir. So controller will return the UI page. So controller basically will return the path or the file name of the UI page back, whereas REST controller will return back data in the form of JSON. Basically, REST controller will return back a data in the raw form, whereas
Okay.
controller will convert it into like it will basically think that we are returning a UI file back, and it will try to resolve that using view resolver.
Okay. So how to change the embedded container, default embedded container in the Spring Boot?
Who should answer it?
How to change the default embedded container in the Spring Boot?
So you add an exclusion in the dependency. You say exclude Tomcat, and then you add the new dependency. Let's say Jetty, you add Jetty. And if you want to use Netty, we use Webflux dependency instead of web dependency as starter.
Okay. What is the difference between get mapping and post mapping, Sahil?
Get mapping, you are trying to retrieve the data which is already present. Post mapping, you are adding data into the wherever you are adding into the form, let's say.
Okay. So how if I send a get request to the post method, then which status code you will get as a response? Suppose there is a post method available in your controller, but user trying to send a get request to that controller method, then what error code you will get in the browser? You got my question first of all?
Yeah.
In the controller, there is a post method available, but client is sending a get request to that. Then what error code you will get from the server?
405 method not found.
405 method not found or method not allowed?
Not allowed. Allowed. Okay. Yeah.
Method is not allowed. Okay, good. Nathan, what are the annotations we can use? What are the annotations that you have used from the Spring WebMVC module?
Yes, sir. So at the rate controller is one annotation to define it's a class annotation to define a class that it is acting as a controller.
Okay.
At the rate service annotation, at the rate repository annotation, at the rate method, at the
No,
rate
I'm talking
request
about only MVC specific annotations.
specific.
Yeah.
At the rate request param annotation, at the rate model attribute annotation, then
The rate path variable.
at the rate path variable, I think we didn't use.
I did not explain path variable as of now. Yes. Okay, that's fine. How do you handle exceptions in your web application? Nathan, go ahead.
So there are two ways to handle exceptions that occur in basically exception is a unwanted unwanted error, or it's abnormal termination of the program. So we'll have to handle all these exceptions in order for a good functioning of an application. So there are two ways we can handle these exceptions. One is in the controller class, and other one is in a global exception class that we can use. So in a controller class, we can use exception handler, like we can annotate methods with exception handler, and whatever the exceptions we are expecting, we can handle in those methods. Whereas coming to the global exception handler, we can define a class at a global level, and we can use annotation at the controller advice, so that class will act as a global exception handler. And inside that class, we can define all the methods with the annotation at the rate exception handler, and we can write all the exception handling code in those methods.
Okay, good.
Yesterday I was asked this question, Ashok, in an interview.
In which company?
It's a environmental distinct company. It's not a big company, but they're giving big package. We'll see how it goes.
They ask you how to handle exceptions in the Spring Boot.
Yes.
Okay. So now tell me, what is embedded container and what is embedded database in the Spring Boot?
Embedded container is a container which is like we do not need to install that container along with Spring Boot. Like in Spring, we need to install Tomcat and then configure it. You do not need to do that in Spring Boot. It is like with build Spring Boot only it comes pre-installed. So when you run the server, when you run the Java code, it will automatically run inside the Tomcat server.
Okay, what is embedded database?
It is a built-in in-memory database which is going to run only when the Spring Boot is going to run. H2 is the database. And you can basically run it on while only when the application is running.
Okay. Next one. What are the annotations available to perform form validations in Spring Boot web application? For form validation, there are some annotations, right? What are those annotations?
At the rate email is there, at the rate size is there. Okay, at the rate not null, and I think one or two I'm missing. I have not.
Nathan, can you take the chance? What are the annotations for form validations?
Yes, sir. At the rate not null annotation, at the rate email annotation, at the rate size annotation,
Okay.
and all these annotations will have to either define in the entity class or the DTO class, I guess. And we'll have to use at the rate valid annotation wherever we are mapping the data, so that it will be validated at that point. And
Okay. So what is a model attribute in the WebMVC?
me or side.
Yeah, Nathan. What is a model attribute?
So basically, a model attribute is used to send data to the UI pages. So using timeleaf, we can use th.value. There are multiple ways that we'll be sending the attribute and the value from either from the model object or the model and view object to the UI pages in front end, where they will be processed at the UI level, and the data is printed over there.
Okay. Sahil, can you explain about logging in the Spring Boot? How do you implement logging in the Spring Boot?
So there is three different frameworks: Log4j, Log4j2, and SLF4j. SLF4j is most recently used. It's a recent one. And inside that, there is this class called logger. You use that for the like left-hand side logger equals to, and then you go to logger factory, and using that you create a log for the whole thing, and you can put it in a file or whatever based on your requirement. Also in application.properties, you can put it as do you want debug logging or do you want console logging and so on,
So
or info logging.
So this particular question they asked me when, like, before joining this course, I went to one interview.
Okay.
It's like they asked, okay, like there is an exception in the real time, like on the production grade application, you got an exception. What you will do?
Right.
Then I didn't know anything, sir. I was tester. I just told I have 2 years of experience. Then I told, okay, we can see the exception on that console, no? So I'll directly see the exception, and then he asked me, okay, you will connect when in a production production application, you'll directly connect to the application when it's running. That's what he asked.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
You attended Log4j class.
Yes.
Good.
But I'll have to revise it.
Right. Fine. Next, Nathan. So can you tell me some Git bash commands that you use in your daily life?
Yes.
So you
sir.
know what is Git, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are the Git commands that you use in your daily life?
So in like daily my jobs, I'll have to create a feature branches or some branches that where I'll be doing some code changes. So I'll be use git branch dash b, so which will create a new branch. Okay, so the branch will be created on current branch. So if you're on a current master branch, a new branch will be created. A new child branch will be created from that master branch. So it is git branch. and I can see all my branches, whatever branches are available on my Git repository. I can use it using Git branch command. Then I'll be using Git commit, like I'll be using Git add to add all my changes to the staging environment. I'll be using Git commit to commit all my changes to the branch. I'll be using Git commit. I'll be using Git push to push my changes from my local Git repo, like local branch to the like remote branch. I'll be using Git push. So if I'll have to update all the, like if I'll have to see whatever the changes done by the developer, and I'll have to update my local branch, I'll be using Git pull origin master. So origin is basically the name that you give to the remote repository.
Okay.
Then at the same time, I'll be using Git stash. So if there are any changes I made, but I want to change to another branch, all these changes will be lost. So I'll be using Git stash to push all the changes to a stack kind of data structure. So whenever I want the changes back, like whenever I want to again work on those changes, I can use Git pop and I can get it from the stash. These are very basic commands I'll be using.
Okay, good. So Sahil, can you tell me what is the difference between Git pull command and Git clone command and Git fetch command?
Pull is your
Switch on your light. Everything is dark.
no, actually I'm in Institute. Institute is in a power surge, I think.
Okay.
Electricity is gone.
Okay.
It's some time, but clone is you have the URL and then you are cloning it from that place. Push is you have a local repository and you have the code there. You are just getting the code from some place, which is where you store your code. Fetch you can get from anywhere. Clone is you are getting the URL. You say git clone, it will get the project from there.
Mhm.
Sir, can I
Yeah, please go ahead.
Git pull, fetch, and
Clone.
clone. So basically, Git clone you'll be using when you want to clone the repository into your local. Basically, initially when you join the project, you'll be using Git clone, so that all the repository that's available on the remote will be get to you. So the major difference between Git pull and Git fetch is, so you'll have local branches. At the same time, you'll have local tracking branches, like tracking branches that will be connected to the remote. So Git fetch will not update your branch, but it will update the tracking branches. So you'll have a tracking branch for each and every local branch. So Git fetch will update the tracking branch. It will not update exactly your local branch. But Git pull will update both tracking branch and your local branch. So after fetch, after fetch, you can see the changes, whatever you want, and then you can merge it to the tracking branch. So Git fetch plus Git merge is equal to Git pull.
Good. Okay, Sahil, can you explain about what is the rolling policy in the logging?
Rolling in?
Rolling policy in the logging.
I do not know.
Rolling policies.
I do not know.
Size based. I explained in the logging class, right? You have not attended?
No, I have attended the class, but maybe I haven't. I don't remember.
Okay, good. Fine, guys. So we are good. Nathan, good job. Sahil, good job. And Venkat, good job. Thank you for joining this discussion. So do you guys have any questions for me? It is just a revision kind of thing. Do you guys have any questions for me?
What the interviewer will expect, like to be more technical or to be more? I think
more
this
scenario based, sir. Interviewer will explain. Suppose when we ask a question, suppose for example, I will ask a question like auto wiring. So instead of just giving the definition, you need to tell with the scenario. Auto wiring is used to perform the dependency injection in our application. Application means collection of classes will be available. In my application, there are several controllers available, several service classes available, several repositories available. My repository class I will inject into my service class. My service class I will inject into my controller. So to perform the dependency injection, I will be using auto wiring. So like that, whenever you are giving the answer, you need to explain along with the scenario. And you need to, when they ask a question like JPA repository. Yeah, JPA repository is going to provide several predefined methods to perform the operations with the database. We no need to write any logic to perform the operation, like predefined methods available, find by methods available, custom queries we can write, pagination is available, query by example is available. In my application, there is a page where we are going to display the records. My table contains more than 10,000 records in the database. Instead of displaying all the 10,000 records in the single page, I have implemented pagination concept in my application by using JPA repository. And in the table, we have implemented sorting also, sorting in the ascending order and descending order. That sorting also we implemented by using JPA repository sort method. So like this, everything you need to relate to your project and you need to give the answer. You got my point. And when they ask you about logging, you need to tell that logging is basically a mechanism where we are going to store our application details, execution details to a file. In my application is already running in the production. We are getting some issues in the production. So to figure out the root cause of the production issue, I will connect it to my application log file by using putty, and I will check the logs and I will analyze my issue and I will fix that issue. So everything you need to relate with the scenario. You got my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, I have I think an out of syllabus question. In
Yes.
yesterday's interview, they asked me, let's say you have 10 different fields, but you do not want to use all 10 fields in database. You get only 8 fields.
Okay.
How do you do it?
No, question is not clear. So you have 10 fields. 10 fields, where you have 10 fields?
In entity class.
In entity class, you have 10 fields. And
but only 8 fields you want to get in the database table.
Okay, so there you can use one annotation called a transient annotation. It will skip from that entity class. At the rate transient annotation, if you use, that variable will not consider as a column in the database.
Okay, sir.
So any scenario will be using like that, like
not required. Generally, the reason we are going to separate entity classes and binding classes. In the entity class, we need to keep the fields which are having the columns in the database. If any extra variables that you want, you take it as a form binding class separately. So form bindings and entities we need to separate. Then you will not need to deal with that problem. Yep. Yep, good. Any other questions, anyone?
No, sir.
So guys, when I conduct this kind of mock interviews, please all of you participate in that interview. So definitely you will get some knowledge, because you know the answer, but you are not able to explain. That is the biggest problem for the many of the students. You know the topic, but you are not able to explain. You are not able to express. The communication problem, stage fear will be there. So if you attend this kind of mock interviews, then you can overcome that problem. Okay, good. I hope so. It's a good session. Tomorrow there is a workshop, guys. I have given the link to register for that workshop. So all of you registered for that workshop.
yes.
It is related to microservices, event-driven architecture, very, very important. I gave the link in the chat box. So click that link, click on that link and register. Once you register, you will get an email from our Ashok IT website, and as well as if you register with the valid email ID, when you log in, you can see that workshop details in your dashboard also. How you are seeing the courses, in the same way workshops also you can see in the dashboard. Registered events will display. All of you can check it. Register with your valid mail ID and check it in your dashboard. That workshop details will display. Tomorrow 9 o'clock a free workshop is there. It's very important. Don't miss that.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah, hi Samir.
Sir, can you share this video in our group?
Sure, sir,
Because
definitely. Yeah.
actually, sir, I don't have access to
Sure,
video.
sir. So I will upload this and I will give the separate link for that.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good. Anyone else having any questions? Someone is asking about deployment in the AWS. Definitely. I will take one separate weekend workshop for AWS deployment. Okay. Yeah. Good. Thank you guys. So with this, I'm stopping for now. So please prepare. So we have weekend. Please prepare and do all the practice. We'll meet again on Monday. Yeah.
Sir, I have write something in chat.
Yeah, Chaitanya, we will discuss on that part.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys.